Hi, second grade. Welcome to Wit and Wisdom Lesson 12. Today, we will be able to examine or look at the words and illustrations to better understand a text. We're going to be looking at bone button borscht again, and we're going to learn that the illustrations and words can help us better understand the setting and the characters in a text. Remember, the setting is where and when the story takes place. And of course, we know the characters are who is in the story. We're going to start by first looking at the illustrations. The illustrations are the pictures. Illustrations are the what? Yep, the pictures. So we're only looking at the pictures, not the words. In this illustration, you can see many things. I want you to take a look and see what you notice. What could this illustration tell us about the setting? You can see that the houses are small. It looks like they're maybe made with pencil, so they're supposed to be wooden. They're old looking, and it looks like they are separate from each other. They're not maybe very close by. You can also see that there's wind or smoke coming out of their chimneys, so it must be cold, and there's snow on the ground because it's white. So when it's taking place is when it's very cold and windy out, and where is somewhere that there would be snow. And we can also tell a lot about the setting based off of the beggar, the character that's in this picture. The beggar's all bundled up and bent over, so it must be cold. We know that because of how he's dressed and because of the snow. And you also don't see any other people outside. So just by looking at the illustrations on these couple of pages, we can tell a lot about the setting of this story. Go ahead and take a look at the illustration here. What details do you notice about the beggar on these pages? And what do you think that might reveal or show us about the beggar's character? Take a close look first. Something that I notice right away are the beggar's eyes. It looks like there's a little glimmer in them. Maybe one is like open a little wider than the other. I would describe that as his eyes look a little shifty, like maybe he's got an idea or a plan. Something else I notice about the beggar is his beard. It's long, it's bushy, and it's meant to look gray or white. So that tells me that he's not young, that he's an old man. The other thing I notice about the beggar is that he's got smudges or stains all over his coat and on his hat. So that tells me that maybe that's the only clothes he has. Since he's a beggar, he probably can't afford much. So we can learn a lot of things about the characters by also just looking at the illustrations. If there's anything else you notice about the beggar's character, say it out loud now. Good job. Let's try another one. Take a look at the illustrations on these pages. What details do you notice about the shamas? That's the man in front. And the townspeople on these pages. What does that reveal or show us about these characters? This one's a little trickier, so look closely. I notice that in each of the series of photos, there are people coming out of their houses. In the first one, it looks like the man is maybe just opening the shutters of his window. In the second one, the woman opens her door, but she doesn't come out all the way. And in the third one, the man has come out onto his porch and he's all the way out of his door. So it's like maybe at first they're a little nervous to come out, but as they see more and more people, they're getting curious and they want to know more, so they come out more. The other thing I notice is each time the line of townspeople gets longer. So that tells me that more and more people are joining in as the shamas is going around looking for things. Maybe they're wanting to see what happens. Maybe they're feeling really curious about this. So this can reveal or show us a lot about the townspeople as characters as well. Now we're going to go ahead and explore or examine the words in this story. So we're not paying attention to the illustrations, but just the words. It says, as he walked downhill, small shadowy houses slowly took shape on his left and on his right. Fine, he said. Now I see the town, but where are the lights? Where are the people? He knocked on a door. Please, a little food for a poor starving beggar, he cried. A face appeared in the frosty window, then vanished. There were footsteps and then silence. The beggar went to another house and knocked. Please help me. I'm hungry and cold. Go away, called a voice from within. Just let me in, for a few minutes even. No, go away. So the beggar moved on from house to house and door to door, but no one would help him. What is wrong with these people? He wondered. So according to the text, why did the beggar wonder what's wrong with these people? And what does that reveal about him? He's wondering what's wrong with these people because they looked out their windows, but they didn't answer him. Some people even shouted at him to go away, and no one would help him or invite him inside to get warm. So what that reveals about him is maybe he is, wondering, why are these people being so unhelpful? They're people just like me. Why wouldn't they want to help? And so that tells us that he's thinking about these things. On this page and this page, we're wondering what the townspeople said and did that was repeated, and what does that show us about them? So I'm going to zoom in on one page at a time. Here, you see that they say, "That's impossible," scoffed Mendel. "Nobody can make borscht from a button." But then they also say, "I want to come too. I want to see this miracle." So by saying that's impossible, the townspeople are doubting that the beggar can make this miracle. But then at the end, they say, "I want to come too. I want to see this miracle." So they doubt that it can happen, but they do have to go to see it for themselves. So that tells you a little bit about how the townspeople are. Here, "No," she shouted. "Go away." By shouting no and go away, they shouted that to the shamas and then earlier to the beggar. It shows that the townspeople are maybe unfriendly and kind of selfish, that they're only thinking about themselves and they don't want to help somebody else. So Leah, her family, Mendel, and the shamas marched down the street. They banged on doors, they begged, and they borrowed cups and bowls, a ladle, a knife, and a huge soup pot. Along with all these things, the crowd grew. As it chattered its way up the street toward the synagogue, others came to their windows and doors. So you can see that even though they don't want to help at first, they become really curious. And more people are following the shamas as he's gathering things so that the beggar can perform his miracle. So this is a curious group of people. So that was just looking at the illustrations and the words in this text separately and showing how they can teach us different things about the story. So by looking at the illustrations and looking at the words, what could we figure out about this story? You're right. We learned more about the setting, where and when it takes place, and we learned more about the characters. We learned about the beggar, we learned about the shamas, and we learned about the townspeople just by looking at the illustrations closely and then reading the words. You can do the same thing with any other text that you read. But today, after you're finished with this, you're going to go to Google Forms. It's going to be lesson 12, and you need to answer, what is the secret word for today? And I'm going to tell you now. Lean in. The secret word for today is illustration. What is it? Yep, illustration. Great job, second grade. See you later.